Hi, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of HR Debatable. My name is Neelie Verlinden. I'm your host, and today I'm being joined by two fabulous guests, Ricardo Cuellar and Jessie Schofer. Now, before I get to our guests, because this is something I too often forget still, but if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to our channel. And also, if you have a moment, please do leave us a great 5-star review, because that really helps the podcast grow. All right, now over to my lovely guests. Hi, Jessie, and hi, Ricardo.
Hi, Neelie.
Ricardo, perhaps you can tell us a little bit more about yourself before we dive into the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. So my name is Ricardo Cuellar. I am an HR executive based out of California in the U.S. I've been in the HR space now for 20 years, started in the military. After the military, went off into the civilian sector, where I built my career up to the executive level where I'm at now. I also spent about 5 years in consulting work, where I was doing consulting work for companies of all shapes and sizes in just about every industry in the U.S. And that was an amazing experience. That led to me eventually building my own consulting business, which I have now, where we do consulting work for clients, mainly that have U.S.-based employees. And we also have an HR newsletter as well. So that keeps me busy.
I believe you. Yes. Thank you, Ricardo. Jessie, perhaps you can also say a few words about yourself.
Well, firstly, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I've been wanting to do this for a while, so happy to be here. About me, I'm Australian originally. I live currently in Germany. I moved here about 7 years ago. And before I moved here, I was in the Australian government working in actually not HR. I was working in projects and portfolio space for finance, parliamentary services, criminal intelligence for the Australian government. And then I kind of fell into HR when I moved to Germany, and I loved it. So I stayed and built up into the startup space here, to leadership roles and scaling. And it was, this whole hyperscale mode a couple of years ago. And then that led me to founding the business Stakkd that I have now, which is a HR tech database where you can find all of the amazing tech out there. So it's really easy to search and find what's on the market, because there's just so much happening in this space now. So I wanted to make it easy for HR professionals and TA professionals to just search, make sure they make the right HR tech decision. And yeah, that's basically what I do. So looking forward to this debate happening.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much, both of you, for that great introduction. All right, now for those of you tuning in for the first time, what do we do here at the HR Debatable podcast? It is very simple. I will introduce a topic. I will share a statement with Jessie and with Ricardo, of course. I'll ask each of them whether or not they agree with the statement, and then they get the opportunity to elaborate on that. If they agree with each other on every single statement, then I may take it upon myself to play devil's advocate to spark the debate. That's basically what it is. All right, Jessie, Ricardo, any questions?
Let's do it.
Yes.
I'm excited for this.
Me too. Let's go. Okay, here goes for the first debate. All right, the theme of this first debate is the adoption of AI in HR. Now, the inspiration for this first debate comes from the HR trends identified by the Academy to Innovate HR for 2025. And here's part of what they wrote about AI in HR. Despite the excitement around AI, many HR professionals haven't integrated it into their workflows. While 34% of marketing departments regularly use Gen AI, only 12% of HR departments have adopted it. And just a third of HR leaders are exploring potential Gen AI use cases. This indicates that HR is potentially missing out on opportunities to become more productive and innovative in its key functions. Low AI adoption in HR is particularly concerning, given HR's critical role in leading this organizational change. In fact, 76% of HR professionals believe their organization risks lagging behind if it doesn't adopt AI technology within the next 12 to 18 months. So, what's causing this lag? Reasons why HR may be slow to adopt AI include insufficient digital skills, uncertainty about which tools are suitable, limited resources to audit or correct AI algorithms, and the lack of clarity on AI's potential HR benefits. Ultimately, whether AI in HR lives up to its potential or is simply written off as overhyped will depend on how well HR departments use it to transform key functions from recruitment to talent management and beyond. Will HR take the lead or fall behind? Now, this beautiful intro brings us to the first statement of today. HR isn't equipped yet to fully adopt and embrace AI. All right, very curious to hear your opinions on this. Ricardo, I'm going to start with you. What do you say, yes or no?
I'm going to agree 100%. HR is not ready. And I have some real examples if you want me to go into them now a little bit, but just briefly, I can say that recently went through an interviewing process for HR business partners, high level position with the company that I work with. And I would say like 95% of candidates could not answer basic AI questions. And it was a little scary. So I'm going to have to say, yes, I completely agree.
All right. Thank you. Jessie, what do you say?
I mean, I can't really not agree with this. It definitely, HR's not ready. I mean, I don't think that means that they're not going to be ready soon or shouldn't start to try and dabble in it. I just don't think they're equipped well from the business side to actually do what they actually potentially want to do with AI and where they want to take it and the experimentation phase. I don't think that's supported at the moment. And there's a lot of studies, that we'll probably touch on that show that this is the case. I'll leave it at that for the moment because, definitely agree there. Sorry, we can't have a debate too much on this one. I think
That's all right. All right. Ricardo, I'm going to go back to you. So if you want to maybe share a little bit more about why you're agreeing with this statement.
Yeah, no, to me, it was astounding because those interviews are done, let's say it's been 2.5 years since the release of ChatGPT, with all the hype that you hear about in the professional world related to AI, so much attention related to AI, so many advancements. And it was a little scary to me to do all these interviews for these high level HR business partner positions. And that, if anything, these are the roles that I would have expected them to have a stronger foundation in the understanding of AI and more experience using all the different AI tools that are out there now. And it was just really shocking to me. I think a lot of times, especially for those of us that are maybe thought leaders that are out there in the public and, making all sorts of different commentaries on HR today, we live in a little bit of a bubble and we sometimes forget that there's an entire population out there that is just not exposed to the same material that we are. And it was very telling that they could not answer some of these basic questions. They had maybe tested out something like ChatGPT once or twice, and that was about the extent of their familiarity with AI, which is not enough given how much it's advanced really in the last couple of years.
Thank you, Ricardo. Okay, Jessie, going back to you for a moment.
I kind of can understand what Ricardo's saying. I see the same things. It's also about being in this kind of bubble. We both work in this space. We both dabble in the tech. We both kind of understand the markets and what's available. It's part of our day to day. It's not part of, HR's day to day to be in this topic like we are. And I think there's one side is, the mindset of the people within HR and that needs to maybe adjust a little bit to be a bit more open, to be more experimental, to be a little bit more maybe confident. Maybe even confidence is the word, confident that they can go in and check out what's going on and learn a bit on themselves. What is an agent? What do they do? How does AI work? How does ChatGPT work? Just even doing their own investigations, I think could be, a starting point for a lot of people, what they can do personally. I think what isn't happening, what needs to happen is businesses need to support this, not just for HR, but for the entire business. There is, AI is going to change how we work. It's going to change operating models. It's going to change the way that we structure teams. It's going to literally change jobs and job structure, job architecture, like all of that's going to change with AI. And I think the investment and the decision has to come from leadership. They need to embrace AI. And it's shown, I think there was a report by BCG late last year. They said that from their investigation, they've seen their companies that adopt AI, they're having higher returns, like 1.5 times the return than businesses that are not, and that 70% of the challenge and issues with AI is around people and process. So what do businesses need to do? We need to help our people and enable them in this transition, because at the end of the day, people are still going to be needed in business. You're not going to have AI take over everything. So for HR, I think it's about, first doing what you can personally. Secondly, business need to accept AI is coming. How are they going to address it, I guess, as a topic for the whole business. And then when it comes to HR, supporting them with the right investment and the right, I'm going to say the right leadership in these topics to let them and like actually leverage what's out there, because it's not being supported right now. And it's not been, HR is not supported in general, let's be honest, 99% of the time in business. It needs to be even more supported now, because it will be the absolute breaking point for all businesses in the future if people and process, which is mostly driven by how HR run and the products they put out, that's going to be defining moments for businesses in the next years.
Thank you. You actually answered, you already answered a question that I wanted to ask both of you, because one of the things I wanted to ask both of you is like, okay, what can we do? What should be done? So thanks for that, Jessie. I do want to hear from you as well, Ricardo. I would really like to hear your thoughts on that. Like, okay, what needs to be done?
Yeah, I completely agree. There definitely needs to be more training dollars, which I know sometimes can be tough for CEOs to swallow, saying HR needs more training budget. That's what we always say. But it's very much a real need, especially right now. I think the numbers don't lie. And, it's crazy. I was listening to a couple of experts talking about this, about AI in general, a couple of days ago, and they were commenting on how AI today is, first off, it's definitely not overhyped. That's definitely not a thing. It's definitely real. It's here. It's much needed in business. And they were basically saying that AI today is comparable to where the internet was like in 1996 and 1997, which if you remember that time, it's basically people using 56K modems to do dial-up connections over the phone line. It's basically in its infancy, and it's only going to get worse from here. So you're only going to have a worse or a higher learning curve over time if you don't invest in your people today, get them trained to where they need to be, because the advancements, the way how quickly they're happening in AI, it's crazy.
And maybe adding to that, it's not even that we need to be experts. Like, I'm not an expert in AI. I don't know, Ricardo, maybe you're probably even more advanced than I am, but I wouldn't call myself an expert in AI. What I do is I'm inquisitive and I'm curious. I want to understand enough that I feel confident in what I'm seeing. Want to understand how it works a little bit. I don't need to be super technical and deep, but I want to know how to leverage the tooling that's available to me. And I think that's where, people are like, oh yeah, I don't know. It's such a foreign thing for people. And if you're not technical anyway, it's like, how do you step into it? And I think really, again, just self-discovery, being curious, do it in your own time for yourself, for other things outside of work. And then slowly it'll start to trickle into your work lives. Like, that's stuff that doesn't require anything that companies have to do, And I highly recommend people if you don't know what an AI agent is, go and Google it. Go and watch YouTube. There's a company called Go9X. He's a friend of mine, actually. I didn't know what an AI agent was. He taught me what it is. Now I know it. So it's it's okay to be like, I don't know what that is. And just go and research and ask people. So yeah, I think just being curious, being inquisitive, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think the beauty of it too is as this is evolving, there's a growing market now of trainers that are focused just on AI. So there's an increasing amount of resources and courses, influencers that can provide education on these topics. It's just a matter of the individual taking it upon themselves to say, you know what, I'm going to learn. I'm going to spend 5 minutes a day, learning. I'm going to sign up for this newsletter, to hear about the updates of AI over time. I'm going to listen to this YouTuber or this podcaster, right? And just little by little getting more exposure, and eventually it'll become second nature.
It's mostly free. If you're like, well, I don't have money for that, it's free. So it is not about money, I don't think, these days. You can ask ChatGPT to explain everything to you just about these days, to the degree that you need to, understand. You can get a lot of it free. And I'm just really excited, actually, because I think the world doesn't give HR professionals the credit they deserve in that they can change their mindset. They are evolving and they do want to learn and they do want to move and be better at their jobs and, self-growth. And I think that, sometimes people are like, well, HR people don't know what they're doing. And it's like, actually, I think they're really limited in the workplace and it stifles a lot of your drive. But there's a lot of internal drive that I see people that I speak to. And people are ready. People are actually ready to do HR differently, to learn new skills. They're curious. They're excited. They also want to deliver value. And they want to deliver value for people with a people element to it. I don't believe they don't want to use technology to do it. So it's a fun space. The next couple of years are going to be really defining, I think, for how we do business in general.
I think so too. That was actually now you both also answered another question that I wanted to ask you. Like, okay, what can individuals do? But this is beautiful. If it continues like this, I do not have to do much. Great. No, thank you so much. Jokes aside, I think it's important to also, for those of us who are listening and thinking like, okay, where can I start? I think they have an idea now of where they can start. So that is fantastic.